Hello guys, I am back. Yesterday I was supposed to come back and give you guys a little insight. Excuse my face, it's a little swollen today. On some different emotions that I have about a couple of situations concerning cancer, of course. And so first I'm going to give you a little history about me and my situation, and I'll just go from there. So I hope you guys enjoy. Before I do begin, I do want you to keep giving me a shout out, and make sure that you tell somebody to subscribe to my channel. Excuse me. That you have somebody subscribe to my channel. And also, if you are a Facebook or Instagram, even Twitter, if you are active on any of those three sites, I do ask that you, whenever you make your daily post or whatever, that you hashtag Team Tay, Tay Strong, Can't Stop, Won't Stop, Pray, Fight, Win, Leukemia, and lymphoma awareness. And y'all can hashtag any one of those or all of those if you can catch those. But most importantly, Team Tay and Tay Strong. So if you would just get the word out, like I said, I like to say, tell your mama, your grandma and them, your dad and them, your auntie and them, your cousins, Peaches, whole nine, tell everybody. Your pastor, the deaconess board, I don't care, tell everybody. So I wanted to just kind of give you guys a little insight on me. My journey began August of last year, 2014, and I had been going through a series of months with having the seizure incident. And the first time I was diagnosed with epilepsy. But then, before I left the hospital, I had another incident, and they just kept stressing that if I had epilepsy, the medicine would have controlled it and all of that. So they took me for a CAT scan, and they told me that I had METs on my brain, which METs are basically just cancerous tumors. So I followed up with a neurologist, and I was told from there that they were not METs, that I had a form of brain cancer, basically. So I went for scans. That turned out to be not true. So I continued on with life as normal as possible. Mind you, at that time I had a 6-month-old. My child was like 4 months old at the time when I had the first seizure incident. So from there, I got back on my feet, started working again, and they started to happen again towards the end of the summer, so around July, and they just kept getting worse. And I would be attacked with these headaches. I was very tired all the time. I had no energy, and I just went through a series of not feeling so good, and I walked home and to work every day. So I thought that the sun, being that it was the summertime, I thought the sun was draining me. And if you know, and you're familiar with the South, I live in North Carolina, Charlotte, North Carolina, so it gets really hot here, and our humidity is outrageous. So I just thought I needed to stay out the heat a little bit, but that wasn't the case. And so one evening it just got bad, and my husband convinced me that I needed to do something about it. So I went in to get looked at, and They did a series of blood tests in the emergency room, and at that time I was informed that I needed to get with an oncologist as soon as possible. So at the end of August, I got my complete diagnosis of adult acute lymphoblastic leukemia B, which stands for the B cell. In my previous video, I talked about the reference between the B cell and the reference to the B cell just links because it's an adult form, but I made a mention that it also attacks my T cells as well, and that has a lot to do with linking damage to your organs. So that's why I made mention that it has also affected my T cells. And you know, at first nobody knew what was going on, not even my husband. I didn't express it to anyone. I was kind of in a daze. Like I said, I had a young child. My family, you know, I can honestly say I lost a lot of faith in my family when my grandmother died, my great-grandmother. But she practically raised me, so but I lost a lot of hope and faith in family when I lost her. So it got to the point where I didn't really care about telling them, honestly. And it wasn't that I didn't really, you know, want to, or I said that they didn't need to know. It was more so of I was still dealing with it myself. So my husband shortly found out, and I didn't tell my best friend right away. My other best friend, me and her weren't talking at the time, so I just kind of, you know, and my husband found out. You know, he wouldn't have found out if I wouldn't have had the breakdown at my doctor's office, but he found out, and you know, I just went from there. And I didn't tell my family until 2 weeks before my hair came out. And my aunt, she was probably the most devastated because, or I'll say hurt, because she was upset that I didn't just come to them, and other people knew about it. So, you know, it was rough. It was rough. I dealt with a lot of excess drama that I really didn't need, but that's what it comes with when you have family issues already. And I went through about 7.5 months of treatment. I did treatment from September up until March, and in January I had a liver procedure where they actually cut almost 2 inches off of my liver, and they also did a biopsy on my liver. And it was rough. It was really rough. At first, like I said, I was really disconnected, didn't really you know, I don't know, I was kind of disoriented about the whole situation, in a shock and a daze. But somewhere I found this drive to just pick up and go and just fight, and I was determined to beat this thing. And in March, I was declared in recession. Some doctors say NED, no evidence of disease. My doctor told me remission, and it just kind of, I was shocked, and I was very, that day, my life took a turn for the better, because I learned that even though I had so many people supporting me, it wasn't about them. It was about me. And first, it was about God. And I had to come to a place where I had to believe in myself, and first believe in God and believe that Jesus Christ was my ultimate healer, and that he had already taken those stripes for me to be healed on the cross. So that healing was mine from the moment the doctor, spoke my diagnosis. So I was very happy, so much so the week after I got my port removed, the next week I had an interview. I was determined to get my life back on track. And of course, you go through these first couple of months where you're going to the doctor round the clock, well, not round the clock, but as if you're still being treated, because they want to make sure that your counts are staying the same, all the above. I was doing great. April came around. I started the job. Life couldn't have gotten any better for me. May 15th, I got married, and it was the happiest day of my life. And I was in a good place. I really was. And the end of May 27th to be exact, had another episode. It was May 26th, but I had another episode, and seizure, and go to the hospital. My legs, I could not feel my legs. My legs were so numb. It was like, I can't even describe it to you. It's like when your feet go to sleep and that tingling feeling, that's how it felt all over my legs. And I couldn't barely walk. The physical therapist had to come and, get me on my feet, and I walked with a walker for about 2 weeks. And it was rough. And I remember one day saying to myself, if this is what I think this is, it's not going to happen that easily. And, I kept on going. The doctors could never explain that. I remember going to my doctor's appointment for my follow-up with my specialist, and they took a lot of tests and a lot of labs, and she told me she would see me in a couple of weeks. And we had a couple of rough weeks. I won't say it was bad, because I felt okay, but I started to have the same symptoms, the tiredness, the weakness, and I knew something was going on. And so June 21st, that was a Sunday. That's actually my best friend's birthday. Shout out to you, Jerry. But I was at my Aunt Gail's house after church, and I started having these stomach pains. And my godmom, she looked at me, she said, "Is your stomach bothering?" And I said, "Yeah." And she said, "Well, what's going on?" And I said, "Well, my cycle's coming on." So I just figured, it was from my cycle. So Monday morning I get to work, and I was not feeling good at all. But again, I thought my cycle's coming on. I always feel pretty crappy, as all females do, especially that first day. So I get to work, and I'm there for about 3 hours, and I started losing blood, like tremendously. And it wasn't because of my cycle. It wasn't even coming from that area. It was coming from my behind. So I knew something serious was going on. So I hopped in my car, got down to my side of town, and I took a shower. And I drove myself to the hospital, and the nurse who was actually triaging patients, she knows me very well. She knows my history, because I had been hospitalized like twice in the process of the 7 months that I was doing treatment. So I had been hospitalized twice there, so she knew me pretty well. And you know, they got my blood pressure and my vitals, and she said, Taylor, your blood pressure is really low. She said, we've got to get you some labs going. We've got to get you labs. And she said, are you being treated right now for, you know, leukemia? And I said, no ma'am, I'm not. And she said, okay. And they set me outside, and literally I was out there 2 minutes, and I felt like I was going to pass out. And I got up to go tell her that I was getting ready to get up to go tell her that I needed to, I felt like I was going to pass out, and she was coming to get me. And she said, the doctor wants some special labs on you. So they took me back, they took me in a room, and long story short, they rushed me up and admitted me then and there. And that night the doctor told me, she said, I had my scans and all of that, of course. She said, your appendix is so big, we're afraid that it's gonna burst. And so she said, we're going to call your oncologist. The surgeon is going to come in the morning, and they'll talk all about it with you, and, go from there. And so my surgeon, he did talk to my oncologist, and I didn't know this, but they had already discussed my situation. And, the doctor came in before the surgeon did, and he said, I spoke with your oncologist. The surgeon knows as well. He is going to come in and assess you, but you're gonna your appendix will be removed today. And the doctor told me, he said, I spoke with your oncologist. Your blood work came back very abnormal, he said, and we are afraid that you have leukemia. The leukemia has returned, he said, and it's very aggressive, he said, and at this point you have about 6 months to live. So we're going to get you squared away with the appendix, the appendectomy, he said, and you'll have to follow up as soon as you leave here with your oncologist. And I was just like, what? Like, devastated. Because in my mind I fought 7.5 months, which is not a long time, but with cancer it is. A month is long enough. So I was just hurt. I was confused, but got out the hospital, and I continued to, I recovered from my surgery, and I continued to work as usual. And the end of July I was hit pretty hard, and I started to feel what the doctor had diagnosed, and the prognosis was, I could feel that. My doctor then wrote me out of work, and I have not worked since the first week in August. And I have been so sick. Since then, I have found out that I will have to have my spleen removed, and that surgery is scheduled for October the 5th. So I want all of you guys to be in prayer. I'm already in agreement with a couple of others, and I do know that the surgery will go fine, that God's hands already on the surgeon and everybody who will be in the room, from the nurses to the anesthesiologist, from the supply specialist to the phlebotomist to the recovery room nurse. Everything is declared. So I'm not worried about that. But the past few weeks, I want to just touch on that a little bit. We're already at 19 minutes, but I want to go ahead and touch on that. I went through this depression because losing my job, I went through a lot. I lost my car, which, I got my car in February, and, due to me having to step back from my job, it's been hard. And so I lost my car, and I'm a firm believer that everything happens for a reason, and I know that I'm not going through this just to go through it. And I believe me sharing my experience with somebody in my journey will help somebody, not even just somebody who is sick in their body, or not even just somebody who knows somebody that's sick in their body, but for people going through everyday things, because you can take certain things from my situation and attach it to your situation, because everybody has went through a time where they've been at a low place, or they've been in a situation where they've lost some things. But that devastated me, because I'm like, Lord, why am I here? And why is this happening? It's bad enough that I'm dealing with this cancer. What is it that you want me to learn? What is it that you want me to see? And when I thought I couldn't get any lower, it's like God just picked me up. And I owe a big shout out to Nisha, because some people say, why did I get diagnosed? And I know for a fact that she's going through her journey for me, because I went through my first journey, my first round of this thing, for one of my close friends. And she's going through this for me, and I know, the way God has just showed me, like, y'all just don't understand, like, I have leukemia and she has lymphoma. And if you know anything about cancer, you know that they are in the same family. And I was sitting at home one night, and I'm like, Lord, what is it that you want me to learn? What is it that you want me to see? Because I'm trying, but I can't get over this depression. And he spoke very clear to me, and he just said, listen, he said, you are my child, and you belong to everybody else that's in my family, which means my brother is hurting, I should hurt, because we're all in the family. And I kept hearing him say, family, you're my child, we're in the family. And I said, well, Lord, what is it that I'm supposed to know from this? What am I supposed to gain? How can I get my positivity back? And he says, look at your family. He said, your family is going through it. And I'm like, nobody in my family has cancer, right now. What is it? Somebody gonna get cancer? And Misha came to my mind, and I just began to cry, because I know that people sometimes, they don't understand, what is this, or why did this happen to me? But even in the heartache of it, I thank God that he gave me somebody that I can cling to in the midst of my situation, because just like I needed somebody, and somebody needed me, I needed someone. And this time God knew that this was gonna, bear on me a little bit. Not too much, that I couldn't bear it, but it was gonna be a heavier load. And he sent somebody like Misha to help me carry that load. So I just get really excited. And from there, I have shaken my feet off. I have stood up tall, and y'all, I'm just ready to fight this thing. And I'm swinging every day. I get up and I'm swinging, and I am determined, not just for me, but so many people don't understand what we go through as leukemia and lymphoma, or just those cancers that don't have the awareness that they need. And I say that because breast cancer, don't get me wrong, my cousins buried their mom, or lost their mom to breast cancer. I have an aunt who died from breast cancer. I know someone who had breast cancer. It's all around us. But they have so many programs and so much money stored away for just breast cancer that we're losing awareness and we're losing support for those cancers out here, cancers that are targeting our children. I mean, there are some deadly cancers. I mean, cancer, is bad, but there are some mean diagnosis of cancers out here. I'm talking about Wilms tumor. I'm talking about DIPG, which is a terminal brain cancer that is not curable. I'm talking about neuroblastoma, retinoblastoma, kidney cancer, ALL, all types of cancers these kids are getting. And then you have people like me who are in the leukemia club or in the lymphoma club, or you have these prostate cancers, you have pancreatic cancer, you have all of these windows of cancer that does not have the awareness that it needs, because everybody is losing sight because a governor had breast cancer, or a president's wife had breast cancer. So we focus all of our attention on breast cancer that we lose sight of what's beside us. You're promoting breast cancer, but your neighbor is going through liver cancer. Your neighbor's child just lost a battle to lymphoma or leukemia, and my biggest job right now, if I don't do anything else, I want to share awareness. And I am here for a mother who lost their child. I'm here for an adult who entered the gates of heaven due to a diagnosis. That's what I want to be. I want to be the person who gets the word out that this is serious, and these illnesses, these diagnoses of cancers are killing people left and right. And I don't want it just to be about breast cancer. Don't get me wrong, cancer is horrible all the way across the board, but they have all the support that they need. They have the research, they have the petitions in Congress, they have everything that they need. And we have societies like the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society that raise money 12 months a year, and that money, it funds things like breast cancer, but people wouldn't know that because they're not aware and they don't give to the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. So I just really want you guys to understand more, and I want you guys to get on board, even if it's not with me. If you're in a different city, you have the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. Contact your local Leukemia and Lymphoma Society and get on board. You can contact the National American Cancer Society. Get on board some way, somehow. Things have to change because we're losing many people, and it's not because it was their time. Don't get me wrong, everything happens for a reason, but there's also a thing as premature death. And a lot of these patients are dying of premature death because they don't have the awareness that they need for the cancer that they're battling. So I'm here because I still have a voice, because I am still fighting. And there's people like me who receive chemo every week, if not 2-3 times a week. Radiation round the clock, or they're hospitalized and they, have to get chemo and radiation in the hospital. It is very serious to me, and it's detrimental that we spread the word about what is going on. And like I said, if it takes until the day I die to get the word out, that's what I'll do. And I don't think that we grasp that, so my job, like I said again, is to get the word out, and I want you guys to be aware, and just help somebody like me, help somebody like my friend in Indiana, Evansville, Indiana. I met a great friend. She was also diagnosed with stage 3 lymphoma, and she actually beat her diagnosis, and she graduated college. She's great, but that's another thing. The LLS Society helps us connect with people who have diagnoses such as ours. And I just want to be that voice. I want to be that voice because I have a child, and I would hate for my child to find out that mommy had a chance to survive, but mommy couldn't survive because there wasn't enough awareness for the disease that she was battling. That would be very, very bad. So I want you guys to know that. I think I've taken a lot of your time, but again, I do thank you guys for subscribing to my channel. I love you guys so very much. It is not easy to share some of these emotions, but it helps. It helps a lot, and I'm just grateful. I'm very grateful to still be able to have a voice and to make a difference, and that's what I want to do. I just want to make a difference.